Awesome. Hello, everybody, and welcome. I know that we're still waiting on a few folks, and there's some people that are still in the waiting room, but we appreciate you being here. Thank you for joining us at our Beach Connections, our first Beach Connections session of the summer. And today we will be talking with financial aid, who a couple of representatives from the financial aid office have come and join us, and they will give a presentation, and we'll open the floor for some questions and answers. This meeting is being recorded, so this video will be available on the CSU Long Beach Parent and Family YouTube account. So if anybody wants to go back and review the video, or if you have anything that you want to review it again at a later time, you totally can. And yeah, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, the beginning of the session, the end of the session, go ahead and feel free to drop them in the chat. And we will answer them to the best of our ability. And if not, we definitely know the people who can answer it. But my name is Nina Luxon. I am the program coordinator for parent and family engagement here at CSU Long Beach. So you will be seeing a lot of me in this process throughout the summer and the academic year. All parent and family engagement goes through me, as well as parent and family communication. So nice to meet you all. Thank you all again for being here. And Drew, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'd love to. Hi, everyone. My name is Andrew. I am the graduate assistant for our new student and family programs department. I've been working here for quite a while, been through a few roles, so I know enough about the university to hopefully be able to assist with any questions they all may have.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Drew. And now we will go ahead and introduce our financial aid team, and then they will get started with their presentation. And like I said, if anybody has questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and we will be able to answer them. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jeannie Quintanilla, and I'm one of the Beach Central financial aid counselors.
Hi, everyone. I'm also a financial aid counselor here. My name is Ariane.
So I'm not sure, Jeannie or Adia, if you guys would like to start your presentation, and then after the presentation, we'll be able to open the floor to questions and answers. You should be able to share your screen.
Awesome. Great. Yes. Let's get started. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So welcome, everyone. Today we'll be going over just a quick overview of the financial aid process and just general information about the office. So financial aid office. What we do here is we determine your student's eligibility for financial aid, and we coordinate federal, state, and institutional awards. We disperse eligible financial aid to student accounts, administer all financial aid programs, and make sure to maintain compliance and regulatory requirements with all aid programs to ensure funding is available. Now, applying for financial aid. So students either submit a free application for federal student aid, also known as a FAFSA application, or a California DREAM Act application, also known as CATA, to apply for financial aid. Now, if you're a FAFSA filer, you would be a U.S. citizen or eligible non-citizen student, considered for federal, state, and institutional funding. And you would complete the FAFSA application at fafsa.gov. For our CATA filers, that would be any AB 540 eligible student, DACA or other qualifying visa student status. Students would be considered for state and institutional funding only. And students can complete that application at dream.csac.ca.gov. Now, one thing we want to emphasize is that the application is determined by the student's status, not the parents. So the typical financial aid process is, first off, we start off with the student and parent completing either the FAFSA application or the CATA. The second step would be for the financial aid office to review the application and we may request additional information and or documents. The third step would be for the student and parents to submit those additional documents if necessary. The fourth step would be for the financial aid to use the application and additional documentation to determine a student's eligibility. And again, this would be for federal, state, or institutional eligibility. The last step would be for the financial aid office to send financial aid awards to students. So for the 24-25 aid year, currently the financial aid packages are estimated for those that have completed their application. I know there was a question in the chat about that. So we are aiming and feel confident about our estimated packages and aiming to have those official awards officially sent out by late June to early July. The priority deadline was May 2nd. To complete either of those applications, but we do encourage everyone to continue to submit either the FAFSA or the CAUTA application. So how do we communicate to parents? Short answer is we technically cannot. According to the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act of 1974, also known as FERPA, it generally requires us to only share education records with the student. However, the students can grant parents access through their CSULB Student Center to basically just allow us to provide, additional information, and the student has the option to indicate and list what type of information can be released. And that would be, again, the FERPA form that can be viewed on the CSULB Student Center. Now, we can email parents regarding the Direct Parent Plus loan, if applicable, right? If a parent applies for a Parent Plus loan, we can email you regarding that. And this would be to the email provided on the federal Parent Plus loan application. So we primarily communicate to students via email and their CSULB portal. So if we are asking for documentation, it means we require it to determine eligibility. So please encourage your students to remain alert for all communications from the financial aid office and ensure they keep up to date with requests from the office. And any documentation that we request, it's typically submitted electronically. Most of our forms are e-forms, so it would be pretty simple and they would have instructions in the email that they receive. So types of FAFSA aid. So there are grants, and there's different types of grants. There is a federal Pell Grant, a Cal Grant, a state university grant, and a middle class scholarship. As far as scholarships, we offer both institutional and external scholarships. There's federal work study, and eligibility is determined by the FAFSA information, and there is no guarantee of placement. There's third-party payments, which would be administered by Student Financial Services, such as the CalVet, tuition savings plans, and or employer benefits. Federal student loans, which would be borrowed from the Department of Education. The federal parent loan, also borrowed from the Department of Education, and private loans, which would be through like a bank or credit union or some other type of private lender. Scholarships. So beach scholarship opportunities will begin fall 2024. We have 2 application seasons, one in the fall and one in the spring. And the application begins on the first day of each of those semesters. So the application window for the fall, for example, would begin August on the first day of the semester, and it'll run somewhere through the beginning of October. If a student is awarded, the fund would be dispersed the following spring. And if the student applies in the spring, again, the application window would be from the first day of the semester, so sometime in January through the early beginning of March. And if awarded, it would be posted for the following fall term. So in essence, a student is always applying for a future term. Now, although our beach scholarships, meaning our CSULB scholarship opportunities, aren't open until the fall term, we do have other resources or external resources. So these are non-CSULB scholarship opportunities, and students can access that list of scholarship opportunities by visiting that website. You can also Google CSULB scholarships, and that will take you to our webpage that will have instructions for both CSULB and external scholarships. So what we would like every parent and student to know. Number one would be to submit the FAFSA or CADA application. Without that application, we cannot award any financial aid. Number two is to stay alert for all communications from financial aid. The student will receive lots of emails. So it is, possible that students, may miss an email, which is why it's extremely important that they are constantly checking their CSULB email for any updates. Number three would be to submit any requested documentation from the financial aid office. So again, anything that is required to determine a student's official award and eligibility, we would need this documentation before we can do that. Number four would be to be mindful of enrollment and eligibility for financial aid. 5, contact our office if you have any questions about your financial aid award. 6 would be applying for financial aid is an annual process. So you will have to, both students and parents, if applicable, would have to apply for a FAFSA application every year to determine eligibility. And again, we can't emphasize this one enough. Contact our office if you have any specific questions about your aid or would just, would like more details regarding the process and or your award specifically. And there are multiple ways to get a hold of our office. You can either call the Beach Central at that number there. You can submit a virtual ticket or service ticket for general financial aid questions. In-person general support is available at our intake windows on the first floor in Brotman Hall. And you can also schedule a virtual or in-person appointment with a financial aid counselor like myself in Beach Central. And that's about it. Now we can open up for any questions, which I'm sure we have lots of.
I did see a question in the chat earlier that someone had asked.
Yes, the estimated award. So yes, all awards right now are estimated. We anticipate to have the official awards sent out end of this month, early June, or late June, early July. And so once the official awards have been established, students will receive an email communication.
Hi, one question. This is Alfonso. You mentioned that the financial aid needs to be, the students need to apply every year, right? Is
Correct.
that the same for scholarships?
Yes, students will have to apply for possibly every semester. We have different applications every semester. So as you saw on the slides, both fall and spring, we our beach scholarship seasons, and there's different opportunities in each of those semesters. So it's always a great idea for the student to check each semester.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Yes.
For foster youth, do you get the verification letter like for the JV grant from Guardian Scholars, or should the students send it directly to you? Or how do they do that?
The student can always meet with us, but we do have a team that works, on the back end directly for that information, but the student can always come and meet with us.
And do you need anything besides the verification letter to determine independent status?
Typically, it depends. So in that case, it would be best for the student to meet with a financial aid counselor. Any other questions?
Sorry, one more. Are there
Yeah.
scholarships still open for incoming freshmen?
Yeah, so not our beach scholarships, since it's only available for like the first month of each of the semesters, the fall and spring. So beach scholarships, they can't apply for right now, but they can look through the external scholarship list. And there's quite a bit there. And they have different deadlines and different requirements. So we highly encourage students to, go through that external list.
By the way, can you post the link on the chat room by any chance? Or are we going to be
Yeah.
able to share are you going to share the presentation with us later? Or?
We can post it in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
If anyone has questions about anything regarding financial aid or even parent family orientation, anything like that, now is your time. Speak now or forever hold your peace. We are here to answer any questions that you might have. Yeah.
Okay, one more.
Yeah, go for it, Henry.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. So my kiddo requested the Cal Kids disbursement. I think that's a hard copy check that was sent. I think there's like maybe an issue, and like the student was financial aid said they hadn't received it yet. But then my student went back to Cal Kids and they said it was dispersed, and they have the confirmation that it was dispersed through the system, and it says issued. So they like Cal Kids is like, hey, we're not, we did our part. So like, what should my student do in this case?
So the Cal Kids it's processed by Student Financial Services, which is a separate office. It can be confusing. We're the financial aid, and then there's Student Financial Services. They oversee a few different aspects, and they oversee the Cal Kids. They receive the funds, and then they notify us so that we can post on their account. But in essence, they're in charge of like posting that. I would say send them to Student Financial Services. And if for whatever reason they're not being assisted or they're still having troubles, have them visit a financial aid counselor in person.
I also do want to note that another one of our beach connection sessions is with financial services. So if you have questions that pertain to financial services, that is on let me make sure of the date.
It's July 11th.
July 11th. Awesome. I got confused between July 11th and 17th. So it is July 11th. Same platform, Zoom. And if you have any questions regarding financial services, they will be there to answer as well.
And financial services, if you want to send your students there before that date, they're in Brotman Hall, first floor, cashier's window.
Before we go into the next question in the chat, Jeannie, could you maybe just describe a little bit of what the difference is between financial aid and financial services? Because some people might be confused as to what the difference is.
Yeah, so financial aid, we make sure that the student's application has been completed, right? The FAFSA or the CADA application, that we request and review any required document regarding the FAFSA or CADA. We determine the student's eligibility and we award accordingly. Student Financial Services oversees charges, tuition charges, housing charges, refunds, overseeing any credit balances, outstanding balances. They receive and process external scholarship funding and third-party funding. So like if someone has employer benefits, it will go, like the check will go to Student Financial Services and they will process it.
And then do you work with housing? Like once a student gets all their aid, will you work with like, or does a student have to like manually go pay housing separately, or does it?
The payments will be done through Student Financial Services. Yes, so the housing department, they pretty much just kind of go over the different housing options. Student Financial Service will post the charge, and the student will make the payment directly to Student Financial Services. If the student has any questions regarding how to fund their housing charge, then they would come meet with us so we can go over what options they might have.
And the funding can only be used for tuition and housing?
So financial aid funding is for educational expenses only. Now, educational expenses, that could be, it's obviously for tuition and fees, it's for housing, it's for transportation necessities, right? It's food, clothing, pretty much anything a student needs in order to, attend school. So it can be somewhat broad.
Okay, thank you.
And of course, books and supplies. Very important.
That gets expensive.
Yes, books and supplies for sure.
Awesome. Answering the question in the chat, how do I register for the July 11th Zoom? You would register for that Zoom the same way that you registered for this Zoom. So you can visit us on our website where it was Beach Connection. So if you go into the website and you type in parent and family programs, right, it is a very robust site that gives you a lot of different options. But if you click on the first link, you'll be able to find our website. And that is where, and Drew just dropped it in the chat. Thank you, Drew. That is where you'll be able to find our Beach Connections, and you'll register the same way that you did. And awesome, you see it's already on your calendar with the link. Great. So yeah, so that's for the process for every one of our Beach Connection sessions. What other questions do we have? Don't be shy.
Don't be shy. This is the time. You have my undivided attention.
Can you explain a little bit more about like how Cal Grant works? Because I know I thought it was the max was 10,000, but then when I met with my student this morning, it was like 6,000 or 5,007 something. So I'm not sure what the max is for each award.
Yes, Cal Grant, the maximum, it's gonna depend whether it's a Cal Grant A or B. The Cal Grant B would be a bit more, and because it's tied to tuition, it would be about 7,000 or so roughly. Can't remember the exact amounts. Be about 7,000, and then the stipend portion has a stipend portion. So that would be an additional amount. So roughly it could be near 10,000 for the academic year. So that would be split in half, just like all our financial aid awards. It would be half for the fall, half for the spring. So parents, keep that in mind when you see your students' awards. That is for the entire academic year, so fall and spring. And then again, half would be dispersed in the fall, half would be dispersed in the spring. And we always award assuming full-time status. Full-time is 12 units. Okay, now financial aid is based on many things, and one of them being enrollment status. So again, we award assuming full-time, but we adjust / prorate if a student is not enrolled full-time. So if they're enrolled in 9 units, 6 units, the award will change. Keep that in mind. Some awards do require that a student maintains at least half-time status, which would be 6 units. So if a student enrolls in less than 6 units, they may see some of their aid canceled.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I submitted an appeal for my little one, and so I'm told that it's going to be a while, and I know that payment and all that starts in July. How does that work? Do I just pay it and then hope to get it back, or do you guys, will I get notification before?
Yes, so there is quite a bit of a delay this year due to a delay in the 24-25 FAFSA application. So our income appeals, we're not able to process them because we're not able to make any corrections to the application until July. So even though we are now, receiving the applications, we're monitoring them, we just can't make any corrections yet. So we wouldn't be able to, process and determine what the eligibility would look like after the appeal is processed. If the due date is before the appeal is processed, what you can do is, yes, you can set up a payment plan, make a payment, and if the appeal results in additional aid, then yes, you would get reimbursed.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
No problem. Another thing you can also do is you can accept the aid that is offered. Well, once it's officially offered, right? Once you receive the official award, you can accept the aid that's there. And then you would just be responsible for the difference.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Got it.
No problem. Okay. Any other questions? None?
Seeing any other questions? If anybody has any questions, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Did we really do that great of a job and answer all your guys' questions ahead of time?
Anticipated all the needs. Good job.
Okay, good.
So far, I'm not seeing any questions. I think we should maybe stay on for another 3 minutes until 4. If anybody has any questions in the meantime, please go ahead. But if we sit here in quiet in 3 minutes, that's great. Oh, we have one in the chat.
Henry, yes. Students can make an appointment through multiple ways. Through the Beach Connect app on their single sign-on. Or honestly, quick tip around here is Google it. CSULB financial aid appointment. We'll also go ahead and drop a chat or drop a link in the chat, but you can also just Google whatever it is that you're curious about. You will find a website. But there is a checklet on their single sign-on, Beach Connect. And that's just a link to our website there. All access, all information, all necessary information on that website. Anything else?
You don't have any more questions, and you know, are you don't have to feel like you have to stay on. If you don't have any more questions, you are obviously free to go. We just appreciate you all reaching out and coming and hanging out with us and talking with us with financial aid, getting some information. And we really appreciate financial aid, the 2 members from financial aid that are here and gave their time to come and answer some of your guys' questions. If you do have any questions after this meeting and you think in your brain and you say, oh, I have a question about this, if it's about financial aid, as they've been saying, you could reach out to financial aid directly, but if it's anything general or about the PFO, like parent family orientation or anything like that, you can email us at pfo@csulongbeach.edu. Drew, could you drop that in the chat, please? Even if you do have questions about financial aid, we can route them over to you. And that is the central place. I run that email. That's the central place where you can ask us questions, and we'll be able to direct you accordingly. But yes, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for jumping on. And we look forward to seeing you all in the future. And these meetings, so these beach connection meetings, the virtual ones are over Zoom. So we actually, Drew, can you drop maybe I can drop the flyer in the chat. Sorry. Oh, can I find the chat? Oh, there it is. Sorry. So these beach connection meetings are over Zoom. However, we do have parent and family orientation, which is an in-person activity, and that We have full sessions. We also have mini sessions where the full sessions we get to meet with campus partners who come in and give presentations, and you get an opportunity to talk with them. Our mini sessions, we give a brief overview of a brief crash course, we like to call it, of parent and family orientation, and what that looks like. And yeah, if you want more information about those in particular, email us at pfo at csulongbeach.edu, and we will absolutely give you that information. But I will drop the Beach Connections flyer in the chat just so that you can save it. Let me make sure this is the correct one. Yes, it is. Being a little nuts. There we go. Figured it out. And the Beach Connections flyer, like I said, you have already registered for this session, but it will be available as part of our PFO process. You will get this flyer as well. So, yeah. Are there any last questions before we officially break? No, I don't think so. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining, and thank you, financial aid team, for coming and joining us. Again, this will be available on YouTube if you would like to look back and see the slides and the information again. Thank you so much for jumping on, and we look forward to talking to you shortly.
Thank
Bye,
you all.
everybody.
Thanks for having us. Bye.